Hello everyone at home. I wanted to talk about my dreams and what you can do in your dreams. I had a dream last night, and here is how weird they get. I was my masculine self, so my boy version of self in my dream. And it wasn't like a dream, it was more like a video game. We're accomplishing things and searching out trophies or accomplishments. And it came, and as I speak it, it sounds weird when the mind processes it, but in your dream, there is no mind. There's just the experience and the feeling of it. So it's more like a soul experience rather than your mind experiencing something, right? So deep dreams will have that effect on you where you will come out and it'll feel like you just been to a whole different reality. This was me today. When that happens, absorb it as much as you can and then slowly process it with your mind. You will see patterns and things that your mind will help you decipher so that you can better understand what happened in your dream. I suggest very strongly recording or writing down your dream journaling. I strongly allow yourself to have that. There's much treasure in that. There's much wisdom in that. And there is like a merging of the soul and the mind when you do it. So let me explain how that works. So the day I had a dream that the dream itself was something that was at the core of me. I cannot tell you or explain in words how much the dream affected me while it was happening and when I woke up, and how different this reality, how different and awful this reality felt, how different and strong and sharp this reality felt compared to what I had in my dream. So let's begin. In my dream, I had this notion that I was a man. And it wasn't like all of a sudden I'm a man. There was no recollection of being a woman. There was just me and a bunch of other men searching for war trophies. And it came in form of like a video game, and it felt like we were inside a video game, so it was a safe environment. We knew we were okay, but we were like making friends with lions and heading to army bases and surviving in the desert and finding each other as sort of like missions or accomplishments, like you would in a video game. It was really cool. I actually really enjoyed it until I found in the video game, or it felt more not, I say video game because I'm comparing it to the concept or visuals. But in the dream, I didn't think it was a video game. It was a safe program. I knew I was safe in the program. When I got to one of the stations, we were looking at crystals and the potential power of crystals. And I knew that they were important. And then I saw somebody I recognized. I saw somebody I loved. And he was wearing, I kid you not, a large, like the size of my palm, a large smoky quartz crystal in the shape of a heart. And not only did it have rainbow iridescent shimmer inside the heart that you can, like some crystals have, but it had like a laser image ingrained on top of the rainbows. I remember looking at it very distinctively and recognizing it as a symbol of his. And as I remember staring at it, and I remember thinking, wow, that must be so heavy. But he didn't mind. He didn't mind carrying it. And he was much larger than me. He was much larger, like 2 or 3 times larger than me. And then we started to go on the journeys together. We would go on the journeys together. And eventually I realized his potential, and it was enormous. Like, he ended up expanding into like a size of a 2-3 story house in size. And he was extremely violent. Extremely violent. And I was also in the video game program acting as if we were under attack or in war. And sometimes we were together, but we weren't really together. We were also arguing in terms of what things must be done. And it was like out of we were arguing out of compassion and camaraderie. And it definitely felt like I was able to understand the male frequency in the dream. In the dream, I was a male and he was a male. And we loved each other and we worked together, but we would also fight. And it escalated. So he was very dark. There was a sandstorm, and he was the size of a house. And we were arguing or shooting at each other or something like you would in a video game. It was crazy. But we still had a frequency of love. God, how do I explain that? We had like a feeling between us that was mutual, that was felt in the dream, like a constant stream of love. Okay? And then strange things started to happen in terms of like the mind. I fell in love with his always being there, because we would go on these missions together and we would search and rescue, and I was a boy, so I fell in love with the masculinity and the support. And then the last little bit, we stopped fighting, and I remember there was blood. And I remember yelling out at him, "Why are you so violent?" And then he sort of sees down in size. And all of a sudden he was like normal again, like a human size again. And once that happened, that flow of constant love that was felt all along increased like tenfold. And it started to feel like twin flames, soulmates, an incredible trust built. We were walking together as if we were lovers. The frequency of love increased so much that we started to love each other in a way where it was overwhelming to the senses, and we started to choose not to do anything else but love. So we started to go places and not really pay attention to the missions. We stopped paying attention to what we needed to do and just let go of all of that. And we started to be extremely close, like intimately, and it escalated, and it suddenly he became like the biggest comfort. And he was there. He was like the biggest support, biggest comfort, huge, enormous body. It was overwhelming. To my senses, it was like the best thing that could have happened to me in the dream. Literally the best thing. If you take the best thing and argue about it and find it, and then it happens, and then you feel it. Because talking in words doesn't mean anything. It is morning. Trying to explain it in words is exhausting. Yep. It's just something I felt. So let's talk about my feelings instead. I felt an incredible amount of love, and not just any love, like camaraderie and honesty and trust and support. An incredible amount, like this guy's got my back no matter what. And it was the best feeling in the world. It was so enjoyable, so that everything else disappeared. Okay, so in the dream, I just saw his face all the time. We were making love. And here is the part where it switches. I started to become a female in the dream. I remember having a distinct thought that we are both males. I remember licking his tongue and thinking that, well, if we're both males, then this is not going to work so well. And then I started to literally feel my body downsize. I remember turning back into my female self, like the way I am now, the way I feel my soul. I started to feel that like home frequency radiate out of me. And I remember turning into a female completely. And I remember our relationship becoming falling into place. And he liked it and I liked it that I became a female. And then we were incredibly inseparable. And then as a female, I remember telling him some of the my problems, if I could say that. I remember telling him like deep down secrets I didn't feel so good about. And I remember him distinctively making it okay somehow, like showing me that it's not a problem, that it makes it okay. And God, that sounds so weird in words. Feel it. Yeah. It felt like euphoria. It felt like the perfect relationship. It felt like every support put into one that you can get from a man, all rolled into one from every angle, every aspect. And I felt like I was cocooned in a blanket of love from this giant man. And he was clever. In the dream, he was fucking clever. He wasn't just this butch, enormous, warring kind of video game junkie. He was soft, and he was caring, and he was clever, and he had these crystals around his neck. And the way he looked at me made me just melt. And it was like blissful. It was euphoria. And I remember feeling like I never wanted to leave that. Like I never wanted to leave that. And nothing else mattered. And I remember my mother coming into my dream. And then reminding me that I gotta go to work. That I gotta fly to Courtney. Which is something that wait. Those crystals I got from Courtney. Courtney is a city in BC I went to work at. I did a project there with my work a long time ago. I used to work... This is my down feather right here. I used to work for Loblaws, Superstores, if anybody knows that. It's a grocery market. I used to renovate their stores for a living. This is how I met Niall. Anyways, let's continue with the dream. My mother came in and she said, "Don't you gotta go to work? You gotta fly out to Courtney today." And everything collapsed. He was still there. But by then I knew it was Niall, my partner, who I'm in with here on Earth. I'm also having his baby. I've not announced this to anybody on YouTube, but I am almost 5 months, 4.5 months, 5 months, pregnant. So if I post this, yay! I was bonding with my baby last night. My guides, he showed me a cool thing to do. Anyways, we are about to be a family. We had this stupid argument last night, and then I woke up out of this dream feeling like this way about him. What does it mean, Almay? It means you gotta hurry up. You're rambling. Okay. Come through. So in this dream, my mother comes in and she ruins everything with her expectation and obligation. That means something. That's what we're getting at. Not only are you going to turn very feminine and now is going to pick up the pieces and fucking ram it all up. He's going to like... Everything that you feel in the dream, he has the potential to do that. Jesus Christ, yo. When you turn very feminine around him, it'll escalate him. The trust and vulnerability, it'll resize you. And the war thing, yeah, that's also obviously symbolic. Okay, so keep going with the dream. So mom comes in, she ruins everything. She reminds me I gotta go to work. And I remember distinctively feeling that I did not want to let go of the like blissful euphoria that I was having with Niall, and all of my time was spent with him. And in the dream, we were extremely bonded. We were just together all the time. And that time together felt incredibly valuable and incredibly hard to let go of. And suddenly I had all these expectations and obligations. And my bags were empty. My itinerary was missing. I couldn't find anything. I was scrambling. We were at the airport somehow. And I remember having to focus on all these things I didn't want to focus upon. Okay? So that's symbolic. So don't think about work when you're around Niall, because it's not going to serve you. Okay? It's just something that your mother ingrained in you. Okay? So that's the message in the dream. I love you. So when you get to the end of the dream, what happens in the end of the dream? I remember now turning from that vibrational frequency of that large man into something he is more of now. Like his body downsized, he looked more like Niall, where before in the dream he did not look like Niall at all. At all. I knew it was him with time, but he turned out more closer to the home frequency that he is now in real life. I remember looking up at him and asking him for like to find something for me. And the frequency before, he would do it like in an instant and he'd bring it to me. In this frequency, he didn't even hear what I said. He was so busy talking. I felt completely ignored, and I knew that the connection was lost. And I remember just surrendering. Well, I might as well go to work now. That's a message in itself. Reconnect before you go to work. Don't abandon him because he's not looking at you. And forget everything your mother is saying. Okay, moving on. So I have this baby in my tummy, and I wanted to record some videos about babies. For anyone else that is watching that is pregnant, and anybody on YouTube who, well, let's see, how many people that channel about pregnancy? That's a good question. That'd be cool to look up. Anyways, I'm going to do some channeling about pregnancy for any lady or man that wants to know stuff that conventional wisdom does not provide. Like, what happens with the amniotic fluid when it breaks during pregnancy, labors, and pains. What's really required, how to connect with your baby, what's really important. Basic things like that I've learned so far. Yay! Okay. Thank you very much for watching. I'm sorry for rambling. But I am learning something. Not to describe feelings in words, just to feel them and then describe them. That's the lesson. Okay. Thank you all for watching. Love you.